Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday, or whatever day you're watching this. This is Heather here, little Charlie in the background. If you guys could send Charlie some love, he is not feeling well. He was been throwing up the past couple of days and threw up blood yesterday. And for anybody who knows, this little one is my heart, and so I want to make sure that he gets better very quickly. He's chasing squirrels like it's his job, so he's not that sick, but I want to make sure that nothing is really bad. We went to the vet yesterday. He's on meds and all that kind of stuff, but send him some love, please. So today's group energy healing is all about pleasure. And this was requested by someone, and I think this is such a great request because as women, right, we have been conditioned, whether it's through family, through culture, through society, that that pleasure is that if we experience pleasure, that we should feel guilty or shame, right? And that a woman is, in many ways, we have this programming that a woman is there for someone else's pleasure, whether it's a child, whether it's a spouse, right? And when women attempt to do something to enjoy pleasure, whether it's taking a bath or going for a walk by herself or getting a babysitter for the kids or getting nails done, there's always this like, oh, but I should be doing all of this other stuff. And reality is, when you experience pleasure and you're in a state of joy, everyone else can feel that energy all around you. And it has such a compounding impact on everything around you, on your kids, your spouse, your family, your friends, your clients, if you are in your business for yourself, or, if your company, like whatever job you work for, experiencing pleasure like reaches out to everyone. Just as if a grumpy person comes in the room, like someone who is happy, who's just like, man, I'm just taking pleasure in every single thing in my life, makes such a big difference. So we're going to dive into that. Oh, thank you, Carlene, for sending healing vibes to Charlie. I'm speaking on his behalf and he's receiving that. So I'd love to hear from you. And I know this may be a really, just like when we talk about money stuff, that this may be a topic that's very sensitive. And so let me know, is experiencing pleasure something that is challenging for you? So we're going to dive into this. And what we're going to do, if you're watching this for the first time, is I'm going to go through and release any trapped emotions that have to do with this. And I just want you to know the process that I go through in dealing in these group energy healings is a little bit different than when I work with people one-on-one. We take a full 75 minutes and go through and dig deep into your subconscious. And so if you're interested in hey, I really want to start clearing some of these blocks that are stopping me from experiencing pleasure in my relationships, in finances, just in life in general, reach out, let me know, send me a message, and I will send you a link so you can schedule that call. Okay. Ren says pleasure is challenging. I get it. It is a conscious choice that we have to make. And it's hard to make that conscious choice when we have stuff keeping us trapped. Okay. So for this group, I'm going to ask, what's the energetic charge of it's safe to experience pleasure? So it's 0, 1. Okay, so it's at a 1. So it's pretty low. So this one, I knew this one would be a pretty deep thing. So I'm going to ask, how safe is it to release what's causing this energetic charge? Again, if the body doesn't feel safe to release it, to release the block, because it's going to hold on to it because there's a need that hasn't been met, there's a secondary gain, then it's going to hold on because it's like, I have to have this. I feel safer having this. Pleasure doesn't feel safe. Being stuck feels safer. So how safe is it? Okay, so it's at a 2 as far as safety to release it. And so we're going to see what needs to be released so that we can get the safety to a 10. Okay. It's funny because I feel like of all the ones that I've done, these are the lowest numbers of everything. So I know this is definitely a big charge. Okay, so in the stomach, there's a trapped emotion of stubbornness. And let me just move my screens around just so I can see any comments. Okay, there's a trapped emotion of stubbornness, which we released. And there's trapped emotion of lack of control. And I'm going to release that. And helplessness. And as you're hearing these things, whether you're watching it live or on a replay, right, just allow your body just to feel those emotions as they come up. And instead of just pushing them down, just be like, oh, this is what, lack of control feels like. This is what helplessness feels like. Is the more that we can get into the habit of actually feeling the feeling, the greater ability we have to be able to pass the feeling through us so it doesn't get stuck. So the next feeling that came up was failure. The next feeling that's coming up is despair. So we're going to release that. Okay. And that is it for the stomach. What else needs to be released? Okay, it's taken us to the kidneys. So our kidneys is, in Chinese medicine, our kidneys is our chi, is our life force energy. If your kidneys are not functioning, everything just goes kaput, essentially. So it's the left kidney, and there's trapped emotions of, let's see what they are. Trapped emotion of unsupported, which makes sense when we think about experiencing pleasure, right? Because we have not been supported in doing that. Another trapped emotion of unsupported. I'm going to release that. And you may be asking, how come the same emotion is coming up if we released it? Well, whenever an emotion comes up, it's connected to a specific experience. It is just like you've been happy multiple times in your life, different things have made you happy. Different things have made you feel, unsupported, lack of control, and each emotion has to be released one at a time. It's kind of like I guess is the best way is like if you go to a house that's a hoarder, you can either just go grab it all up and dump it, right? And then the house is gone, or you go in picking piece by piece by piece so that you can get back to the foundation and the true essence of the house. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know. But that's what we're doing, just releasing them one at a time. So what else needs to be released in the kidneys? Okay, so the trapped emotion of blaming, releasing that. And trapped emotion of wishy-washy, releasing that. Okay. And what else needs to be released to get this safety to a 10? Okay. Okay, so what's coming up now is a saboteur. So a saboteur is essentially what it sounds like. A saboteur is a strong negative energy that is usually comes from another person with an intention to sabotage you, right? So I always ask if this was a collective and saboteur, like if these things are collectively or individual. So I'm just going to check in. Is this collective? Is this individual? Okay, so there's an individual that has a saboteur. Okay. And do we need to know more about it? Okay. Can we release it? Yes. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead as I usually do. And after I'm done this, I will go back in and check and see whose saboteur it was and reach out to that person. And I have to tell y'all, it's so cool because whenever I send people messages, I'm like, oh, this came up and this was connected to you. They're like, oh my gosh, I knew it was me when I heard it, and then they'll tell me what happened at the age when if an age comes up, and it blows me away all the time. I was working on one of my private clients the other day, and it came up that there was a trapped emotion in hers. I think it was her second left toenail. And she's like, that's so strange. She's like, but I have a line slit going down it right now. And I'm like, that's just crazy. This stuff just blows my mind. Okay. So what else can we release to get this to a 10? Okay. Okay, so the next thing that's coming up is a trapped memory, and it says collective. So this is a collective memory, and we're going to see what this symbolizes. And symbolizes confusion. And can we release this? Yes. Okay, this is just my commentary, but when I think about that in a memory that symbolizes confusion in regards to being safe to experience pleasure, I know a lot of times people think about, and women, when think about pleasure, think about sexual pleasure. And this is not specifically about just sexual pleasure. It's just pleasure in general. Like I said, pleasure enjoying a bubble bath, pleasure enjoying a walk and just looking at the trees and being like, oh my gosh, how amazing are those? When we think about collectively, right, there's been so much to women of you are meant for our pleasure, but you can't receive pleasure. That's confusing, like super, super confusing. So we're getting rid of that. Okay, I'm going to see how safe is it to release this energetic charge. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, what else needs to be released so that we can get this to a 10. Okay. It's taking us to the respiratory system and to the lungs. Is it the right lung, the left lung? Okay, left lung. And is there trapped emotion? There's trapped emotion of self-abuse, and self-abuse means negative self-talk, and sadness, and okay, that's that. What else can we release to get this to a 10? So post-hypnotic suggestion is coming up. That's come up a bunch of times before, and that is essentially where through whether it's music or entertainment or hearing something from someone over and over and over again, we get hypnotized. And so we are going to, whoops, can't. We're going to post-hypnotic suggestion of I'm unworthy. Makes sense. Can we release this post-hypnotic suggestion? Yes. Okay. So what's the energetic charge? Okay, so we're at a 9. So this one, there's some deepness in this stuff. Okay, so there's an emotional trauma, and is this collective? Is this individual? Okay, so it's for an individual. So I'm going to ask, do we need to know more about it before we release it? Can I release it? Yes. Okay, so we're releasing this one, and again, I'm going to go back and find out whose this was, and I will reach out to that person. And okay, so now the safety is at a 10. So then I'm going to go through and ask how ready is the subconscious body? Because as I mentioned before, there can be things like secondary gains, like you think that you will not receive a certain thing if you release whatever it is that you're holding on to. Like, oh, I won't get love anymore if I let go of this. That is a secondary gain. Or an unmet need is, oh, when I was a kid, my need for love didn't get met, and so I'm going to hold on to this fragmented part of myself so that I can feel love and connection to myself. Reality is when we can release it, we can experience more of those things, but our subconscious sometimes gets confused. So the subconscious is at a 4 to release this. And okay, we're going to the cervical vertebrae 7. There's trapped emotions of confusion. I'm going to release confusion and sadness. And that's everything in the C7. What else can we release to get this to a 10? Okay, we're going back to the kidneys. And it's the right side this time. And there's trapped emotions of, I always keep trying to do this without my glasses. I don't know why. It's so much easier. Trapped emotion of conflict. And we're going to release that. See what else. Wishy-washy. So wishy-washy is just what it sounds like. It's like going back and forth between, yeah, I want this. No, I don't want this. And especially with pleasure in women, right? It's like, oh, I want to experience pleasure. No, I don't. It's not feel safe. So we're releasing that one. And wishy-washy again. That one doesn't come up as much for me. So it's interesting that it, like when I do work on people, it's interesting that it's coming up now. Okay. What else? So the trapped emotion of blaming. And trapped emotion of blaming is like being held responsible for, held guilty for something. So like if you feel like you've been blamed for everything, that's what that means. Okay. What else? Something else in the kidneys. Okay. It's trapped emotion of dread. And is there anything else in the kidneys? No. What else can be released? In the sacrum, there is, so the sacrum is all the way down, like at your pelvic area. There is a trapped emotion of confusion, rejection, and it. How ready is the subconscious body? Is 4, 5, 6. This is moving slow today. What else? Okay, so we're going to the lumbar vertebrae 1. And there's confusion. Again, confusion seems to be the trapped emotion of the day. Sadness seems to be the pattern here. Unsupported. Interesting how the similar ones are coming up. Just looking up top to see. Okay. Anything else in the L1? No. What else can be released? Okay. Okay, so there's another emotional trauma coming up, and is this collective, individual? So this is a collective emotional trauma. Do we need to know anything more about this? No. Can we release this? Yes, please. Okay. And what else needs to be released to get this to a 10? Okay, so in the root chakra, if you think about our body, we have these energy centers. Some people call them chakras, some people call them energy centers. If you're like me, when I first heard about these, I was like, this is totally wacky. What I've learned is that our body has its endocrine system. And it has connections, and the root is connected to your survival. It's your sexual glands. And it is all about your right to be here, your right to have. And so if we don't feel like we have a right to be here, okay, and we don't have a right to, we don't feel stable and safe, then experiencing pleasure is going to be challenging. Now, our sacral chakra is connected to pleasure more so than the root chakra. And what's interesting is that the root came up, and the way that I understand it when I'm working on people is a lot of times we think, oh, we got to go right to this one, right? This one is the pleasure one, so we should go right to this one. But the reality is it's always something underneath what we like. The thing that we think is the issue, it's always something underneath. So if somebody doesn't feel safe to be here, then definitely not going to feel safe to experience pleasure. So there's a trapped emotion of insecurity, and we're going to release that. And there's a trapped emotion of effort unreceived, and we're going to release that. And that's it. Okay, so where are we? How ready is the subconscious body? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, okay, so what else needs to be released? And the uterus. There is a trapped emotion of stubbornness. And here is, okay, that's it. So how ready? Okay, so we're at a 10. So I'm just going to double check and see if there is anything else that needs to be released. Let me just write this up. Okay, is it safe to experience pleasure? What's the energetic charge? Okay, so we're at a 10 on that. And so then I'm going to ask, how long do we need to process? Okay, so this group need 2 days to process. Okay, so 2 days to process, and what processing means is that, I'm just gonna try that. So what processing means is that your body has time, like energetically, we are releasing it, and there's time that it just needs to flow out of your body. So your body might experience crazy dreams. You might get feel really emotional and be like, where did that come from? Well, it comes from the stuff that we're releasing. You might feel nothing at all, and that's totally normal. You might feel physically different in your body. All of it is completely normal. Okay, so what you want to do whenever you're feeling and processing emotions is first acknowledge a feeling like, oh, I'm feeling really unsupported right now. And then two, accept it. Like, I just accept that that's how I'm feeling, right? And allow it to be there. Like, I'm going to let myself feel unsupported. Now, that doesn't mean wallow in it. It just means just going to notice where I feel it in my body. I'm just going to let my body feel it. Oh, I feel a lot of heaviness in my stomach right now. Okay, I'm just going to breathe into it and just feel that and just let it know that it's okay to be there. Ask it what it needs. It will always tell you, I promise. Right? And it's that simple. It's when we're like, oh, well, I'm feeling this, and we start talking about it, intellectualizing it, or we just like, oh, I'm feeling this and I got to push it down, is when it passes. But the Heart Math Institute talks about how that takes 90 seconds for the chemistry of an emotion to run through us. So allow yourself to acknowledge it, accept it, acknowledge, accept, and allow it. And that will help you to process it more. So let me know if you want to continue on this journey of working around pleasure. I would love to work on this with y'all if that's what you want to do. Let me know if you're watching this on the replay, if it's helpful for you, and I will reach out to the people whose individual stuff came up in a little bit. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.